Hey, what's up YouTube? How you doing today? You good? Doing pretty good over here today. Pretty good day. We're gonna watch some videos, we're gonna react, we're gonna get our workout in, talk about anything y'all wanna talk about in the chat. And yeah, I'm not gonna talk too much at the beginning of this one. I'm just gonna get into the workout. I'm gonna stop and interject as Jennifer and Pumps share a little bit with us about how triggered MAGA are by the election results of last night. So let's get into that. Let me know how you're doing, how you're feeling, what you got going on, and I hope you got lots of love and liberty in your life today. From here in Boulder out to wherever you're watching from.
Huge night,
Let's get into
huge
it.
day yesterday. Woke us back. My name is Jennifer. My pronouns are she, her. And you guys, this is an absolute rebuke on Kanks, sociopath, fascist, little twerp, Stephen Miller, and all of the other abject failures in this administration. You know, Kanks is kind of popular when he's campaigning, but when he governs, he is so underwater. And so we have this opportunity to save our democracy and to exercise our right to vote and to support candidates. To me, the New York mayoral race is the biggest one. Even though I'm so happy Mikey won in New Jersey. That's a huge win. Also Virginia. And you see in Virginia, all of the counties went bluer. Massive blue trend. But ZOHRAN's campaign in particular, I think here are the takeaways from that. Number one, the xenophobia and the fear mongering and the culture wars face planted. They're one trick. MAGA's a one-trick pony, and it is scare the shit out of people while we fleece the working class so that we, the oligarchs, don't have to pay taxes. Scare them about people with a different religion. Scare them about people with a certain skin color. Scare them because somebody has a non-traditional American Anglo-Saxon name. And it face planted, and the more money they spent, the more popular this guy got. I was fortunate enough, I was at ZOHRAN's victory party last night in Brooklyn. I'm dead ass tired, you guys, but this is such a moment for us to all share. I missed Pumps being there. Everybody asked where you were, and Pumps, I went with Professor Ruth Ben Ghiat, who I love. Everybody would come over to us and go, "We love what y'all are doing." And I was like, she had her glasses on, and I said, "Ruth, everybody thinks you're Pumps." And she goes, "I'm just going to go along with it."
I wish I was as smart as she is.
She's fabulous. Okay, let's listen to the first part of ZOHRAN's victory speech, or this is just a segment of it, where he comes out, you guys, he ran a campaign, a masterclass on affordability, inclusivity, holding billionaires and corporations
not
accountable,
taking
but
money
also he was
from
a good little
lobbyists.
attack dog. Yeah. So after he won, I thought, is he going to come out all cupcakes and rainbows? Let's see what he has to say about Kanks. Play the clip.
So Donald Trump, since I know you're watching, I have 4 words for you. Turn the volume up.
What y'all think he meant by that? Turn the volume up. What's he trying to say? What do y'all think he's trying to say?
Okay, as you can see, viewer and listener, he comes out and he sticks to all of his campaign stuff, but he will not come out and not have that fight in him. And that's just what the Democratic Party needs. Mm-hmm. Quit assuming that the other side is somehow decent or normal. And so I just love that he came out, included every single person on the planet. His politics are so inclusive, and then still has the fight in him.
I'm feeling good today.
ZOHRAN knows,
we sent
like
a good
every
statement
single person
yesterday.
that's been paying attention, Donald Trump is a bully. And if you give in or you give a slight hesitation that you're scared of him, he goes for the jugular. ZOHRAN's not scared of him. New York can overcome all this bullshit that Trump is doing, and he is going to lead them to do that. And that's why Trump and his little sycophants have just been absolutely terrified of this race. I mean, Trump said he's not going to give federal funding to New York City if Zohran won. Motherfucker, New York City gives way more money to you.
That's exactly what I was about to say. New York pays in more money to the federal government than they get back. So they'll just stop paying taxes.
And all the red states. So you need to sit down and shut the fuck up. And I think Zoran's just the person to make that case because he's not afraid.
All right, and then next up, he goes after his opponent who lost in the primary, a very Trumpian Democrat who even Kanks referred to as a bad Democrat and then endorsed him. And he goes
What do y'all
after
think about
Andrew
the
Cuomo, who allowed
election results last night?
xenophobic and Islamophobic and racist attacks against Zohran. He never stopped them. He claimed that somehow Zohran was responsible for 9/11. He was 9 when it happened. And you may remember back, there was a time when there were decent politicians like John McCain who, when these same allegations were launched at Barack Obama, he shut it down. Not Andrew Cuomo, not all the billionaires that support him. They are fine and they will fund bigotry. They will fund Islamophobia. They will do anything they can to not help the working class. Play the clip.
Friends, we have toppled a political dynasty. I wish Andrew Cuomo only the best in private life. But let tonight be the final time I utter his name. As we turn the page on a politics that abandons the many and answers only to the few. New York, tonight you have delivered a mandate for change.
Okay. And I just love that he has stood up to the oligarchy in an all-inclusive message. And if you were to listen to centrist establishment Democrats right now, their messaging is we shouldn't talk about this group and we shouldn't talk about that group and we need to move to the center and we need to not offend people and we need to continue with the same incremental politics where we lost 2 national elections to a complete embarrassment failure of a human being. This guy, the grassroots organization, he had over 104,000 volunteers. They knocked on millions and millions of doors. He had grassroots donations. Everything that centrist Democratic establishment focus group type people say to do, this guy did the opposite. Bernie paved the way for this.
Yes.
And the one thing that Zohran can do that Hakeem and Chuckles can't do, triple Trumpers cross over and vote. And it's going to be very interesting today when the statisticians get into the polling to see where this voting came from. Latinos, immigrants, older people, Jewish people, younger people. I think Kanks got 20% of the black vote in the last election. Let's see what happened with that. Because I think any support that he had, he's underwater. And this whole campaign against him, the campaign politics of fear-mongering and focusing on culture wars while you neglect the basic needs and services that governments are supposed to provide for its citizens, that shit is over. Nobody is buying the fear-mongering of Donald Trump, Stephen Miller, and all of the other fucktwats.
We don't believe you, MAGA. We don't believe you.
That. We're done with the fuck
Full of shit.
You know, I hope that you're right because I do believe that Trump has been elected based on fear-mongering stoked by Fox News and the right-wing echo chamber.
White evangelical churches.
My concern about it is in a state like Oklahoma where there is no diversity. I mean, all of these states that won such huge victories, they are more enlightened, they're more diverse, they're more impacted by actual society versus their church, what Trump says. They have, you know, it's so homogenous. So I hope this is a lesson.
Homogenous.
But let me say something.
Okay.
In red states like ours in Oklahoma, has an economic populist ever run?
No.
Has anybody ever said, as a Democrat, you have been lied to, your
No.
religion has been used against you? Andy Beshear did that in Kentucky and he won. And he didn't throw the trans community in.
I hope they mention what is different about the new wave of Democratic candidates that people who support these principles are backing is that they don't take money from the lobbies. ZOHRAN Mamdani did not take any money from millionaires. Bernie Sanders does not take money from lobbies. AOC does not take money from lobbies. I believe Jasmine Crockett does not. I hope they point that out because we are tired of big corporations and big financial lobbies controlling our politicians.
Under the bus.
For MAGA, they're literally who made it that way. It's Republicans who pushed through Citizens United. Plenty of corrupt Democrats went along with them, but the Democratic Party is willing to remove Citizens United to take money, corporate money, out of politics, but MAGA will not let that happen if they have anything to do with it. So both parties are corrupt. MAGA is just massively more corrupt. It's not even close. I hope they point out that this new wave of politicians are the ones who are refusing that corporate money.
And he used his faith to say, my faith instructs me that I cannot bully these kids. And if I don't stand up for these kids and I allow the government to bully them, then who the hell is going to stand up for them? And you see the rising star of James Tallarico, who is taking
James
a very
Tallarico is a
populist
G.
message to very religious,
Look up James
conservative
Tallarico.
Texas. And he said, they want you focused on less than 1% of the population, the trans community, because they don't want you talking about the 1% that is really controlling everything and fleecing from you. And I think we can talk about what has worked in red states, and what has worked is fear mongering, because what is the opposition? In Oklahoma, it was like Joy Hoffmeister, the last gubernatorial race, and she was just Republican light. And so these people that are deeply indoctrinated to vote Republican, they're always going to vote with the R when the disparity in the two candidates is so minuscule.
Yep.
But when the disparity in candidates is one that says, I'm not taking money from anyone.
Yes.
I'm not taking money from these corporations.
Yes.
This is what has broken the system. I will never not vote for your wages to be raised and fight vigorously and with everything in me for you to have health care. It's abhorrent that you can't afford to buy a home and you're working 40 and 60 hours a week while the Republican Party tells you you're lazy and that your eating habits are shitty. And so I think we have not given people in these red states a viable candidate in which they can coalesce around that is completely different from these establishment fear-mongering Republicans and or in a lot of these red states like ours. It has not been enough to overcome the decades-long indoctrination that Democrats are demonic. And so I challenge all of these young, exciting new candidates.
I grew up hearing that Democrats are demonic. I grew up my whole life in a church that said Democrats were demonic. Okay? So what changed me? How did I go from being a Republican who thought Democrats were demonic to a leftist liberal, democratic socialist like Bernie Sanders, ZOHRAN Mamdani? These principles. When I looked into who was living by these principles, and I looked myself in the mirror, and I asked myself as a Republican, who's really for liberty? Who's really for truth? Who's really for loving their neighbor as themselves? It damn sure is not white evangelical Christian conservatives that make up MAGA. MAGA is literally the opposite of these principles, okay? And I cannot lie to myself as a human being. I cannot look myself in the mirror and kneel to everything that these people say is beta. These people tell you what they believe beta is, and then they have Mike Johnson and Donald Trump representing them. kneeling to men that they tell us are betas. I could never. If you've been taken into that cult, me pointing it out, it's gonna first make you feel ashamed, but you might stamp down that shame. You might ignore the shame and then go right on to anger. But right before that anger you feel is shame, because you know I'm telling you the truth. I was in this cult and I had to tell myself the truth. Real strength is standing up for love. Who are you afraid to be a good person in front of, my MAGA friends who watch this? Because you cannot be MAGA and stand up for these principles. And the problem with that is that makes you a liar and a hypocrite, because you want these principles for yourself. You want these principles for your family. But when you join a cult, you start getting high on self-delusion. You lose your free will to serve the gang, and you start denying truth. You start denying love. You start denying liberty. Because liberty goes both ways. It means you want the same liberty for your enemy, for your opponent, as you want for yourself. If you want liberty for yourself and freedom for yourself, but not your opponents, that is literally the definition of fascism. And hiding from it, pretending that these words don't mean what they mean, is only you giving your free will away to serve a cult or a gang. So again, who are some of you afraid to be a good person in front of? Because for me in this cult, it was a lot of family members, a lot of men in my life who, when I was growing up, they tried to show me how masculine they were by how cruel they were to other people, like immigrants, poor people, disadvantaged people. After I became a Marine and I saw the horrors of war and violence and destruction against innocent people, and I really believed in these principles in my heart, I never looked at those men in my family the same again. I saw how weak they were, how pathetic, pardon my language, but how bitch-made anybody is who's afraid to stand up for love and the same rights they want for themselves. Anybody who will turn their back on truth is not a man that I consider a brother. But anybody can change. I was this. And what brought me back to reality, to honesty, was not other men dunking on me, was not anybody owning me with arguments. It was pointing out to me that the people that I was defending were hurting people that I cared about. That I was identifying with a group who was hurting people that I care about. And also that I was identifying with a group that, when I really took an honest look in the mirror, stood against the opposite of what my life is all about. And my life is not unique for being about liberty, truth, and love. That's how you were born. As a baby, you wanted liberty. As a baby, you wanted truth. As a baby, you wanted love. Before anything got poured into you, you wanted these things the same as me. And I cannot live as a hypocrite and deny any of these to other people when I want them, so I had to leave this gang. And they attack you when you leave. They feel shame when you point out that they've given up their free will to serve a cult or gang, just like I did. But it's not about shaming people or owning people. It's about telling our brothers and sisters the truth, because we love them enough to say, you're better than giving up your free will to bitch-made beta males, sexual assaulting PDFs. Look how well they've done. They haven't mentioned the Epstein files yet. I hope. You know, all of this is designed to make us stop talking about Epstein. Good people never will, because good people don't change their beliefs on a dime. They say no matter what jersey you're wearing, if you are about these, same team. I don't identify as anything politically except for show me the candidates who are doing the most to get to this. Even if they're bad, if they're the best chance we have to get to this, I'm voting that way, and I'm gonna do work in my community in the meantime and try to get better and better candidates like these new Democratic candidates who are not taking money from lobbyists. And that is the difference that we have to point out. This new wave of candidates that's going to be the new wave in America are going to be people who reject corporate money, and that is how the people are going to retake our government.
Particularly in flyover states, particularly in deeply red counties. Run something different. And if you're a Christian, use your faith to say, I will not abandon the poor. I will not abandon the marginalized, because that's not what my Lord and Savior has instructed me to do. All right, moving along.
Exactly.
Listen to Zohran in this moment. He refuses to cede any group. He refuses. And y'all know that we have had Democratic politicians and strategists on our podcast, and the first thing they do is start throwing trans people under the bus. You have Ezra Klein that wants to throw women under the bus. And so let's listen to Zohran here.
So I already know this part of Zohran's speech that they're going to play. He calls out, basically every immigrant nation that makes up New York City. And other politicians don't, like they're saying. Other politicians will find a group that they want to throw under the bus. That is so weak. I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican, when you want to throw other marginalized groups under the bus so that you can have more liberty while they have more chains, that is not truth. That is not love. That is not strength. Let's listen to Zohran Mamdani.
We love.
Line that wants to throw women under the bus. And so let's listen to Zohran here.
We believe in standing up for those we love. Whether you are an immigrant, a member of the trans community, one of the many black women that Donald Trump has fired from a federal job, a single mom still waiting for the cost of groceries to go down, or anyone else with their back against the wall. Your struggle is ours too.
So this message of inclusivity attached to services and needs that the government needs to provide.
It should not be novel because everybody wants liberty. Why would we deny liberty to other groups of people? If you're tricked into being in a cult, you do it because the cult, the gang, tells you, hey, as a gang, we're attacking this group of people, and if you don't do it too, you ain't one of us. And why do they care if they ain't one of them? Because it's their whole social circle, their peer groups, their churches, their community, their daddies. And they're afraid to be a good person in front of some of those people. And to those people, I ask you, why? Why are you afraid of your dad when your dad is too weak to show love? Your chance is to evolve as a son, is to be better. Break the cycle of weakness. Weakness is stepping down on other working class people. So Zohran Mamdani, AOC, Bernie Sanders, anybody who upholds these values, they don't have to be any jersey color. Anybody who believes in liberty wants the same liberty for LGBT people as they want for themselves. You don't want to be told that you have to be LGBT when you're not. So how are you going to tell them they have to be straight when they're not? That's crazy. Only a cult, only the high of a drug like self-delusion and rage could make you think that that's fair or honorable or strong. All of the right-wing people that have a problem with the LGBT people are just in the closet. No straight person cares. No straight person, why would I care what you do in your bedroom? That is insane. I do not care as long as you're a good person. Only people who are in the closet, and the reason the people in the closet care is because they're making a choice to suppress themselves, and so they're mad at these other people that get to have liberty, even though they're putting the chains on themselves. But they're not, because they're in a cult, they're in a gang, and the gang says, if you don't play this way, we're going to kick you out.
I've never seen anybody run on that in Oklahoma. Have you, Pumps?
No, I haven't, and I hope you're right. I hope that it would sway the vote. I'm skeptical a little bit.
I'm not saying they could win, but Zohran would have never run without Bernie Sanders, and Bernie Sanders lost. And it takes a strategy. And that's why the Republicans have won, and they won twice with Kanks, because they strategized for it. They messaged for a long time for it. And the fight for this starts now, because this type of messaging is the epicenter of democratic health, keeping the democracy healthy and having a government that serves the people. And so they're going to have to start messaging candidates like this in red states. They may lose the first couple of cycles, but the messaging starts to sink in, and then it primes the soil for a future candidate a couple of cycles down the road, like ZOHRAN here, to come in and win, because they have been Bernie has been doing a really great job dismantling this oligarch privilege and the way it's been pitched to us, and economic inequality. He has been messaging it and primed the soil for ZOHRAN's victory. And so it's important that Democrats start thinking in terms like that versus the Democratic strategists that just think incremental status quo. All right, of course, Kanks has a stage 5 meltdown. Last night popped this up. Donald Trump. Trump wasn't on the ballot, and shutdown were the two reasons that Republicans lost elections tonight, according to pollsters. And
Again, self-delusion. Trump wasn't on the ballot. Literally everybody showed up. I showed up in Boulder to say fuck you to Donald Trump. Everything about last night was a referendum on Trump, and this self-delusion, when he says that, his followers do not ask, is this true? Because they already know that it's not. They simply take that as instructions. This is what you're supposed to distribute in the streets. Show your loyalty to our gang by repeating what I tell you. Give up your free will. It doesn't matter that this isn't true. Give up your free will to serve our gang and spread this propaganda for me. You already know it's not true, but you'll spread it because you need this gang to allow you the self-delusion to pretend that you're something you're not.
And this is wild. Here is Scott Jennings with the most idiotic spin I've ever seen in my entire life on CNN last night. Play the clip.
Terrible night for Nash.
Here you go. I was watching this. This is the self-delusion. So as you hear this man speak, think about a crackhead hitting a crack pipe. That is what he's doing. He's getting high on deluding himself because he can't live in reality. Because if he does, he's going to feel shame, because he's going to know that what he's doing is wrong. Serving a PDF is wrong. Serving a felon sexual assaulter who is pardoning people he doesn't even know the names of because they're giving him hundreds of millions of dollars in crypto is wrong. They all know that. That doesn't matter. He is serving the gang to make money. All of these people make money off MAGA, and so they spread the self-delusion. And so as you hear him speak, he's going to get rebutted. I'm going to keep working out. They're going to tear him apart, I'm sure. But I remember this from last night. Just imagine a crackhead getting high and ranting at you on the street that the sky is purple.
Democratic image, given what is happening inside their party. Mamdani is an avowed socialist. It's not what people say that he is, it's what he says that he is. He's now the leader of their party. That's their energy, and Chuck Schumer's
He's the leader of the Democratic Party?
There is no, who is the leader? Can someone tell me?
Okay, so he said this is a horrible image
Delusion.
for the Democratic Party, a loss for the Democrats tonight when they swept the whole goddamn country. And
Delusion.
here's the thing, I think that works with MAGA. I think that they're
Crackheads.
so stupid. They're like, what's
No,
Jimmy
they don't
saying
care.
today?
They're not stupid.
All of these victories mean a loss for the
She's really messing up Democrats here when she says they're too stupid. No, they are not stupid. They're not even considering if it's true. They know it's not true. They are showing obedience and loyalty. The same reason in the Bible, Abraham was going to kill his son Isaac because he thought a higher power told him to do it. That is MAGA spreading these lies. They think they're serving a higher power, but when they really look inside themselves, they know they're just getting high on self-delusion. This gang will let me pretend that I'm something that I'm not. They're not stupid. We have to leave the door open to come back here. Anybody who has been taken into the rage cult to get high, it happens for 100 different reasons. They're not stupid. They're not evil. They're like a crack addict. They're hurting in some way that causes them to seek a separation from reality. They can't face reality for some reason, so they need a way to live in a delusion or a high. That's a pitiful thing. That's a sickness. That's a weakness. That is not a fatal flaw. These people can come back when you make them realize you're giving up your free will. You're giving up your free will to serve somebody you're telling me is a beta. Because you tell me what beta means. You guys don't even understand the science behind it, but okay, you tell us what a beta is, and that's Donald Trump to a T. And you give up your free will to a beta? Why? Leave the door open. I had to come walk through this door and realize I'm not going to live this lie anymore, man. I'm too strong to be cruel to people. I'm too successful to need to stomp down on other people. I'd rather lift them up and help them. Do what I can to make community the most fair competition for everybody, because as a strong person, I want fair competition. I don't want an advantage. Weak people need an advantage. If you've chosen to be in this cult, simply choose to start standing up for these principles that you want for yourself. Watch how they attack you, and then come join us on this common ground. You're not stupid. You know what's going on. Crackheads aren't stupid, you're addicted. You're addicted to what you get from this gang, even though you know it's wrong. The door is open.
Democrats, this is the death of this gaslighting. People's eyes are opened, their ears are opened up, and this sort of fear-mongering bullshit. His attack has to be on democratic imagery. When look at the imagery of the guy that he neuters himself multiple times a day on his CNN spots to go defend, and he wants to lecture the Democratic Party about the optics of a victory. Are you kidding me?
You know, here's the thing. It's like we've said over and over, they have to take their orders from him, and they're nonsensical, and what he does is irrational. So they twist themselves into pretzels to try to butter him up and say what he wants to say. But when
They're so close to the point. They're not twisting themselves in pretzels. They're literally saying, I'm being obedient. I'm cheerleading this jersey. I'm cheerleading this team. You don't think about a football game in terms of truth and lies. They're not thinking of it about truth and lies. They're thinking about winning and losing. They're thinking our gang versus your gang.
I saw that post from Donald Trump. Like, Trump wasn't on the ballot, which, first of all, you know he's a narcissist when he refers to himself in the third person. But they were sitting around telling him, well, the Republicans lost, but it's not because of you. They're all his sycophants are, soothing his ego because it was a referendum on his policies, on people that don't like to see their neighbors taken in vans by masked men.
Exactly.
Because people believe that children should be able to eat. And this guy doesn't give a fuck. And this was about him. And an overwhelming majority of people that came out of the exit polls were saying, I wanted Donald Trump to know this is not okay with us.
Exactly.
So
that was me.
A little fragile
that
ego.
Was me.
Ego. He's just not feeling very good today.
Well, and to be accurate, a lot of the exit polls showed that Donald Trump wasn't a factor in some places, and it was about affordability and democracy. And so I just want to make sure we're accurate about that, because the one thing Donald Trump won on was affordability, and the affordability issue has gotten worse, and these candidates ran on affordability. And so it's the economy, stupid. We go back to James Carville's issue. And so I think it's just a real interesting rebuke across the board. I agree with you, Pumps. A lot of it is a rebuke on Trump, but a lot of it is a rebuke on his failed policies, because that's what people
and
feel
his
every
lies.
day.
His absolute lies. And what I also loved last night, Fox News said in Virginia, Mikey Sherrill won because 71% of the people were voting against Donald Trump. And then immediately his text about, well, Donald Trump wasn't on the ballot. I mean, he's such a petulant little titty baby. Suck twat, as it were.
Absolutely. All right, please buy our book. It's called Life is a Lazy Susan of Shit Sandwiches. Subscribe to our channel, like this video. Woke is back, baby. Let's fucking go.
All right, let's go. Let's check out this Adam Mochler video.
Bucket sale is back at MAGA. Saturday.
He makes a lot of good points in this video. Definitely wanted to play this one today.
Tweaked every damn race. Good morning, everybody. Today is a great day, not only for the Democratic Party, but a great day for America. I want to run through some of the election results from last night. I want to show you some clips from ZOHRAN's acceptance speech, but just understand, 1 year ago today, I had to make a video that was kind of similar about election results, but it was a lot more dark in its tone. 1 year ago, the Democratic Party took a massive loss to Donald Trump, and I had to sit here and say, listen, we are going to pick up the pieces, we are going to rebuild, it's going to be tough, but we will steer the ship. What I didn't realize is that 1 year later, ZOHRAN Mamdani, a firebrand politician, would steer the ship for all of us and help us give some clarity, on which direction the party needs to go. And that direction is affordability. It's policy that aligns with what people think about on a day-to-day basis. Not any cultural stuff, not any wild stuff, just things that people focus on, like buses, like food, like the cost of living in New York City. That worked, that resonated. Of course, he went up against a uniquely weak candidate in Cuomo, but he is uniquely strong as a candidate, and that's why he won the primary by 12 points and is going to win the general by likely more as the votes are being counted. But just to back up, Abigail Spanberger, who is going to be the first woman governor of Virginia, won by 15 percentage points. She got 57% of the vote. That is an absolute blowout. What about Mickey Sherrill, who's going to be the governor of New Jersey? She also won by 14.7 percentage points, almost 15 points on the dot. This was an absolute blowout, and even my Republican friends were saying, guys, we have to change the tactic. Even Vivek Ramaswamy posted a video saying, guys, this did not go well for us. So I just want to say, the Democratic Party does have a spark. The Democratic Party does have a direction, and this might have, arguably, even been worse than the midterms in 2018. Now, these were not midterms. This was a special
Blue
election.
wave, Dennis, that's right.
Year, of course.
Blue wave,
some
baby.
Of the seats of Democrats flipped. Like, for the first time in 2 decades, Democrats captured statewide offices in the state of Georgia. So Democrats had won Senate seats. Those are more federal positions. But for the first time in 2 decades, almost 20 years exactly, Democrats were able to win non-federal statewide offices in Georgia.
Blue wave, baby. Dennis is right.
On the Georgia Public Commission. I mean, this is great stuff. That means voters turned out. Voters were angry at the Republican Party, angry at Donald Trump, and at least see a vision in the Democratic Party. Something else that this kind of makes me realize, and this is going to make people mad, but it's that Kamala's campaign was a weak point for the Democrats. I think she did great. I think she ran a great campaign. I voted for her. I was very supportive of her. And I'm not going to sit here and criticize someone who had 100 days. This is not her fault. But seeing the performance of, for example, Mickey Sherrill or Abigail Spanberger, granted they aren't black women in America, I understand how hard it was for Kamala, or seeing people like ZOHRAN Mamdani, a Muslim dude in New York who literally is killing it, just shows that the Democratic Party can have energy, but it's about the branding. It's about the way that you package these ideas. And ZOHRAN packaged the ideas in such a groundbreaking, amazing way.
Not groundbreaking, he did what Bernie does.
Let's watch his final message to Donald Trump during
He followed Bernie's pattern. Not groundbreaking. Bernie.
So Donald Trump.
I wish I could just watch live sports at home for a great price.
Commercials. Let me get the commercials off.
Choose and customize your channel life.
So no, it was not groundbreaking. He followed Bernie's template. He didn't take money from corporations. Okay, the new wave of politicians that we want are the ones that reject corporate money. That's Bernie's playbook. That's the playbook of any man with integrity who doesn't want to be owned, who doesn't want to sacrifice their free will.
4 words for you.
An amazing way, but it's just such a simple way as well. Let's watch his final message to Donald Trump during his speech last night.
So Donald Trump, since I know you're watching,
On everything. On everything. Turn the volume up, baby. Turn the volume up on
entire
the
speech
people.
is quite amazing and inspiring. I highly recommend you watch it. But when he says Trump should turn the volume up, I kind of took that to mean a few things. Not only is he saying like, yo, turn the volume up and listen, I think he's saying we're here to stay. Like, there's no reason to turn off the TV. There's no reason to ignore this. Turn the volume up. Listen to what I'm saying, because we are here to stay.
Yes.
Donald Trump acts as if he doesn't want the Democratic Party to exist. He does not want the Dems to exist. He attacks our infrastructure.
Self-delusion. They have to thrive on self-delusion.
Like Act Blue, he attacks our law firms. He attacks universities for being too left-wing, judges that he deems left-wing. But we are here to stay. The Democratic Party just made a lot of noise. Let's go over to Virginia for 1 second.
The No Kings rally, biggest protest in United States history. Self-delusion. They spread lies. Their followers don't even care about what they're spreading. Their followers spread what they're told so that they get the benefits of being in the cult. They get the benefits of being in the gang for spreading the propaganda. They don't care what's true. The leaders only design their propaganda to bog us down. When we see through the bullshit and we tell their followers the truth, y'all don't believe anything you're spreading. You don't want to serve beta male PDFs. You get high on the self-delusion and you're giving up your free will to a cult. Here's the common ground we can meet at any time you're ready.
Democrats in Virginia achieved a resounding sweep, just an overall sweep. Abigail Spanberger's victory was accompanied by Democratic wins for the lieutenant governor position. We won that. The attorney general office, we won that. Plus, Democrats expanded their majority in the Virginia House of Delegates for, again, the first time in years. In Georgia, for the first time in 2 decades, we gained state seats. In Virginia, for the first time in years, we were able to actually expand our majority in the House of Delegates. And a lot of people enjoyed Spanberger's pragmatic approach. And this is what we also need to understand about the Democratic Party. We need to build a supermajority. Therefore, we need to have a supermajority mindset. If Abigail Spanberger tried to run the campaign that she ran in New York, and if Zohran Mamdani tried to run the campaign that he ran in Virginia, both of them would have done way different. Obviously, the issues are different, but I just mean the style of campaigns. We need to understand that different candidates in different areas can appeal to people in different ways. Andy Bashir is a Democrat who is a governor.
Kentucky.
Is very, very popular. He's very popular in a red state.
Kentucky.
And that's because he knows how to speak to people. He knows the line to push. If he were speaking like Zohran Mamdani, which I support Zohran, but if Andy Bashir were speaking like Zohran, he wouldn't be doing well. So the point here is, Democrats can't be so ideologically rigid in one box with all these tests. We need to understand that candidates across the country...
This is what I'm saying. He's saying every Democrat doesn't need to be like Zohran. Every Democrat doesn't need to be like Andy Bashir in Kentucky. We unite on common ground. And in this common ground, there are all kinds of different beliefs about economic policy, taxation, everything. Everything we debate as a government, you will still disagree, but when we unite here, no one will be dehumanized, no one will be marginalized, the billionaires will not control society. So a supermajority party means, like MAGA, if you don't go along with what Donald Trump says, you're not MAGA. You're out. We do not want that. And it makes it harder for Democrats because a monolith gets everything moving the same direction. There is an effectiveness of a cult or a gang. A gang or a cult can be very effective, but is it good long term? Hell no. It's only good for the people at the top. Everybody finding ground on liberty, truth, and love, and then disagreeing, but inside this common ground, is a lot harder to move in one direction, but it is long-term best for the world, for humanity, for everyone. Because everybody wants these for themselves. So when he's talking about a supermajority Democratic Party, he's literally talking about we don't have to all agree and follow one person like MAGA, or B, we don't all have to be democratic socialists like Bernie. You could still be a capitalist and believe in these principles. And he's saying the Democratic Party should accept that, and I am too, and most of us are saying that. Okay, the only people in the Democratic Party who don't want that are the people who take money from AIPAC, pharmaceutical lobbies, big banking, the people who take money from the same people MAGA take money from in the Democratic Party do not want this all-inclusive party. And I think he's going to talk about how, yeah, we don't accept everybody. We don't accept racists. We don't accept misogynists. We don't accept liars. We don't accept people who want liberty for themselves but chains for other people. We don't accept people who want to ignore the Constitution when it comes to a president can only serve 2 terms. But then if we say, okay, well then we'll take away the Second Amendment, they're like, no, you can't touch the Constitution. We don't want hypocrites. We want people who make the same rules for their enemies that they're willing to play by themselves. People who put the truth first and will change their mind, who have the strength to change their mind when they realize they were wrong. People who love their neighbors as they love themselves. Doesn't mean they're going to agree on taxation and economic and social policies, but if you can agree on this common ground, we can all move forward and we can get corporate money out of our government. And this is the way to do it. And when he says supermajority party, that's what he's talking about.
We can have different beliefs. We need to draw the line somewhere. So no bigotry. We don't want people who are like pro-life or whatever, or anti-choice. We don't want people who are transphobic. Of course, we draw the line.
And very quickly, pro-life. I came from a Republican Christian background. I understand the argument. But when I look myself in the mirror and I say, you know what? I am not a doctor. I am not a medical professional. I may have my own beliefs, but what if it was reversed and women were forcing me to get castrated or forcing me to have some kind of medical procedure because of their religious beliefs? Hell no. And if that would be a hell no for me, I gotta say hands off. It is between a woman and her doctor. And that is not my karma. That is not even mine to make a judgment on. We don't know. Okay? And if I don't want, liberty says, I can't make different rules for you than me. And if I don't want you to be able to use your religion that I may not agree with to force me to have a medical procedure or prevent me from having a medical procedure, then I can't have different rules for you. So no, on this common ground, you gotta leave women's bodies alone. Leave them alone. Let it go. And then you can say, leave my Second Amendment alone. You can't have it both ways. And the same way when it comes to LGBTQ people, if you don't want somebody telling you who you can love, you can't tell other people. It's crazy. And they only sustain it on self-delusion and rage. Dennis says, if the Supreme Court rules against tariffs, Trump's week gets much worse. Hey, our week gets much better. The Supreme Court is rigged though. We need more Supreme Court justices, and we need crazy strict rules about Supreme Court justices taking money from private business people. That's a whole nother topic for another day. Let's let Adam keep going. But absolutely, there are other reasons why even a Supreme Court who gives Donald Trump almost anything he wants might still rule against him on the tariffs. They really are a polarizing issue. And, as far as Donald Trump's intelligence goes with anything economics, everything he told you he was going to do, he just lies about. Are your groceries cheaper? No, they're not. How much more expensive is your coffee? How much more expensive is your coffee? How much more expensive is your beef? How much money are we sending to other countries' beef farmers that we're not giving to our own? Y'all don't know because MAGA doesn't care what's true. It's about being in a gang. It's about cheerleading for a team that gives them the delusion to pretend they're something that they're not. And It's not to insult them like it's not insulting to say a crack addict is hooked on crack. That doesn't mean they're a bad person. Something happened that made them need this gang, that made them need this cult, that made them need this drug. Our job as brothers, as men of integrity, as men who embody these higher principles, is to say, I love you enough to tell you the truth. I love you enough to show up for you and stick my hand out. But I'm not going to pretend like you're something you're not. Okay? Let's let Adam get the show back in here. I'm just going to do... No, actually, I'm done with my workout for the day. So we'll listen to the last couple of minutes of Adam's video, then we'll wrap up, and then after that, I'll see you guys again tomorrow. So let's let Adam wrap up here, then we'll talk about it and go on with our days.
We want power. We need power in order to protect the rights of minorities. So that's why we need to engage in supermajority thinking. Supermajority thinking is what I just said. It's that a candidate in New York can do one thing and be called a Democrat, and a candidate all the way across the country in some red state can also be a Democrat just as much, and they can be accepted into the same tent. Now, honestly, the people holding that back right now are the establishment Dems. Every single establishment Dem who refused to endorse ZOHRAN, who refused to back him, who refused to
He's saying exactly what I just said.
That they want to play it so safe that they'd rather endorse or just, play defense for an actual sexual predator. It's insane. So I just want to back up one more time. Voters cited in their exit polls a few key issues. Affordability was one of the top issues, surprise, surprise. Healthcare was oftentimes the second highest issue, and then opposition to Trump policies was another massive leading policy that led to this blue wave. Again, this is an off-year blue wave in a special election. This is not a midterm. This is not a general election. This is a special election, which is very, very important, but this just means we have to carry this momentum over the next 365 days and make sure we continue to spread the word. I can't lie, the work that you guys have done on this, the work that we've all done together has helped spread the word to people in Virginia, people in New York. We are now the media. We are now the people who get to call out the Trump administration. So as Democrats make historic advances, I want everybody to celebrate. I want everybody to think about what went right here, what went wrong a year ago. A lot of people in my comment section just want to brush it off and say, Adam, Kamala ran a perfect campaign. It was just stolen. And then to that I ask, there hasn't been a single court trial, there hasn't been a single anything showing that it was stolen. No Democratic politician has said that. And number two, that's just a way of not having to do any sort of self-reflection. You really think we have to do no self-reflection over 2028, or 2024, sorry. Of course we have to do self-reflection and see how we can get better so we can continue to win, just like we did.
I personally believe there were shenanigans in the last presidential election, but you will never hear me use that as an excuse. If you're a real man and you're getting cheated by a bitch-made incel PDF made out of McDonald's, that's on you. If I'm getting cheated by weak motherfuckers like Elon Musk and Donald Trump, I gotta do better. We gotta do better. I do think they cheated, but the way to counterbalance them is to call it out and be like, you're not gonna even be able. We're gonna overwhelm you so much that there's nothing you can do about this democracy that's coming for justice. Okay, and that's what Gavin Newsom is doing in California. He's saying, because the Republicans they've been the minority since Barack Obama years. They are the minority of this country. How do they get power? They cheat. They use the Electoral College that says the few 100,000 people that live in Montana get the same amount of 2 senators as the millions of people that live in California. Picture a few 100,000 people and picture several million people, and they both get 2 representatives. That's cheating, okay? That's cheating. That's one way that Republicans rule from the minority. The other way is redistricting or gerrymandering. And Trump, thinking that, okay, he's gonna cheat, calls up Greg Abbott in Texas and says, a place that already is full of gerrymandering is like, we need even more extreme gerrymandering. Redraw the election maps. Y'all look at these maps. They look like crazy jigsaw puzzles. They make no sense until you understand they're only drawn to capture rich neighborhoods for Republicans. However, they have to draw them, and that gives them more seats in the House of Representatives. So they get more Congress people by doing this. They cheat. Gavin Newsom didn't, say, oh, you can't do this, Texas. You guys are cheating. What are we going to do? He was like, Okay, you guys want to do this? We'll do it in California. Bitch. That is how you respond to drug addicts trying to break into your house. They're not smarter than us. They're not tougher than us. They're just slimier. And is that going to give them some advantages? Yes. But should real men shirk away from it? Hell no. We owe it to our forefathers, to our ancestors, to the future generations, to every decent human being on this planet to just do what we can to help clean up the toxic filth that this cult is spreading like a crack epidemic, hooking more and more of our citizens on crack. But for them, it's like 33%. They're not spreading. They have to do everything they can to cling to the little group of people they have and cheat as much as they can because the momentum is going the other way. And that's why you should have confidence if you're a good person. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. Human history shows generation after generation of people, they try to create the air of inevitability, which means Donald Trump and the little bitch-made incels that follow him. And let me just say, so you don't think I'm insulting you, you don't have to be a bitch-made incel. You choose to be a bitch-made incel. So if you are that and I'm telling you the truth and you don't like it, choose to be better. But anybody following Donald Trump is a bitch-made incel. And I got sidetracked on that. I don't even remember where I was going, but I got one more video I want to play here. Maybe it'll come back to me. Everything about them is to get us bogged down and feel, the air of inevitability. So Donald Trump and the little bitch-made incels that follow him, they tell these grandiose lies like, you guys know the law of attraction? They saw this movie, The Secret, and it changed their whole life. They're just like, I just lie to myself and life will become that. Okay, like there are some positive interpretations of the law of attraction and there are some crazy Donald Trump level interpretations where it's like, I can just deny reality and speak my own truth and it will come into being. That's how you get these absurd lies. They know they're the minority. They know that their power is slipping. They know that more people than in America have ever come out to protest them. His approval rating right now is lower than any serving president of all time. So they lie to create this. They want people to believe them so you feel like, there's nothing we can do. They're cheating, they're winning, they're taking over. I guess we're just gonna have to go along with these weak, bitch-made, slimy motherfuckers. I guess real men will just have to take a knee. Bitch, please. That is why they all hide from us. None of them came out to confront us at No Kings the way we go to MAGA rallies and try to debate them. None of them want to come on this show and debate me. None of them who call me weak want to come on a live and work out right beside each other or on camera. It's all delusion. It's fake. It's the Wizard of Oz. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Just believe us. We're just like, bitch, nobody believes you. Nobody believes you, motherfuckers. Y'all don't even believe yourself. That's why you get high on self-delusion. Because when you think about who you really are and what you're doing, you feel ashamed. And that shame makes you feel angry, and then you want to do something, and you either get high again on more rage and self-delusion, or you could do what I did and take a long look in the mirror and be like, this isn't me, man. I'm too strong to be cruel to poor people. I'm too strong to kneel to a sexual assaulter who protects PDFs like his life depends on it. To the MAGA people out there watching, who are you afraid to be a good person in front of and why? Because you cannot stand for these principles in MAGA. You can't. They will attack you and then they will outcast you. If you actually stand for these principles to your daddy, to your uncles, to your pastors, to your bosses, to your high school friends, and they're MAGA, they will reject you. And what does it mean for weak men to reject strong men? The same reason a crackhead rejects their brother who comes there to help them. The same reason. I need the self-delusion, man. Don't take me out. I can't do the actual work. I can't read any books, man. Nobody ever taught me to read and understand what I'm reading. I can't debate, man. I don't really know anything about economics or politics. But when I wear this red hat, man, they make me feel strong. They make me feel strong even though I'm weak. They make me feel powerful even though I'm mediocre and empty. Come on, man, you're better than that. You are better. Whoever you are out there who needs to hear this, you are not lost. You need to wake the fuck up, buddy. Wake up, bro. This is what makes you strong. And if you can't stand for these things, do not pretend that you're strong unless you need to get high like an addict. All right, one more video because this one's important.
When patients go to an in-network...
I like this guy. This guy's name is Keith Edwards, if you haven't seen him. Keith Edwards. And this video really gets into talking about kind of how this self-delusion works, how this gang works, in showing Mike Johnson's self-delusional reaction to what happened last night. And we're going to break it down a little bit, then we're going to get out of here and see you guys again tomorrow. But real quick, let's check out this video with Keith Edwards and talk about it just a little bit.
Feeling that I am feeling. Is it hope? Is it happiness? I'm feeling all of the feelings, all good
I'm
today,
feeling hopeful.
and the Republicans are crashing out. They're crashing out because it didn't work. It didn't work.
So they like to use the word coping. But when they cope, when their leaders cope, then it's not coping, right? Different rules for your opponents than you have for yourselves is how you know you're in a cult. I don't want different rules for MAGA than I want for Democrats. I want same rules for everybody. We don't get to touch the Second Amendment. You don't get to touch the 2-term limit unless you go through the democratic process to do it. But the president doesn't get to disregard the Constitution, or the president can take away your Second Amendment. You gotta think this stuff through. You don't get to have different rules for both sides and be taken seriously.
The fear-mongering didn't work. The propaganda didn't work. And now they have to sit with themselves and their loss. Mike Johnson said this about Democrats.
The Democrats shut down the government out of fear.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Epstein who? Epstein who? The Democrats shut down the government out of fear. Look at this spineless worm of a fucking incel of a man. This bitch-made motherfuckers like this will never face me, and we can have a civilized conversation. I don't have to use curse words to take apart a little toadstool, footstool, kneeling worm like this. But I'm a Democrat. We shut down the government out of fear? As this man cups the you-know-what of a PDF to protect Epstein and his buddy who's at the top of the list. The self-delusion, you gotta take him as serious as a crackhead on the street telling you what Jesus told them yesterday. That's how serious these people are. But these people want to talk about alpha and beta. This is who represents you? Manly men? This closeted, self-loathing footstool of a bitch. You're better than that, man. You are better than that.
Never been more afraid at any point than they are right now.
We just had the largest protest in American history. Babies to senior citizens, veterans, everybody in between, and we're scared. Bitch.
The Democrats.
Are you afraid? Are you afraid? Mike.
This is a gay man. This gay man would roll this closeted gay man. This liberal gay man would dog walk this closeted Republican gay man. Lindsey Graham, Donald Trump, some bitch-made motherfucker. I'm sorry, y'all. That's the Marine Corps coming out of me. Because that's what we would call him in the Marine Corps. A bitch-made motherfucker. a soft, unsat little bitch. Because that's the truth. If you're trying to make men hard, and why? So that they can defend liberty, so that they can defend truth, so they can defend love. The cruelty is soft, okay? You see in this cruel man the softest version of a human being you can get. Hard men stand for love because they protect their tribe. They protect the weak. Motherfuckers,
Johnson says
come
you're
on.
afraid. Are you afraid? I've never been less afraid. I am courageous. I am courageous. And here's why. Here's one reason why. I have ZOHRAN Mamdani here showing what it means to be a Democrat in 2025. I am so excited.
What is your message?
My message to ICE agents and to everyone across this city is that everyone will be held to the same standard of the law. If you violate the law, you must be held accountable. And there is sadly a sense that is growing across this country that certain people are allowed to violate that law, whether they be the president or whether they be the agents themselves. And what New Yorkers are looking for is an era of consistency, an era of clarity, an era of conviction. And that is what we will deliver to them. And I am looking forward to having conversations with Mayor Adams and his administration about the work of the transition to ensure that the handover is a seamless one and that it is one that benefits the shared work we all have to deliver for the people who call the city home.
Laws are coming back, baby. Justice is on the way back. Again, Mike Johnson's like, Democrats never been more afraid. I think every goddamn corrupt criminal in the Trump administration should have a quick look at themselves, because it might be one of the few times they're going to be able
Karma's
to
coming,
look at
baby.
themselves in a mirror that
Karma is coming.
surrounded by bars.
Karma's
Okay,
coming,
now,
motherfuckers.
here's DNC chair Ken Martin talking a little bit about how this sweep happened.
Blue states, so to speak, need to get in on this, get into this conversation about redistricting. Are we looking at an escalating redistricting war?
Well, certainly, as we've said, what happened in California was the counterpunch to Texas and Greg Abbott bending the knee to Donald Trump. And so now we've leveled the playing field, and now it's up to Republicans. If they continue with this nonsense and continue going down this road of trying to redistrict, unconstitutionally redistrict in Republican-controlled states, we're going to meet them state by state. They wanted this fight. They created this fight, right? And we're going to meet them. This is not your grandfather's Democratic Party where we're going to play with one hand behind our back. We are actually fighting back. I'm proud of Governor Newsom and Californians for sending a message. I hope not.
And this is what I'm talking about. If you're a strong man and you're being cheated by a weak man, you don't cry about it. You just go back at them. If they're going to redistrict and cheat, okay, we'll do you one for one. That's what Gavin Newsom is doing. You want to cheat Texas? Every Congress seat you add for a Republican in Texas, we're going to add for a Democrat in California. We're not provoking you with this cheating. But if you want to cheat, we see what you're doing. You're not fucking smart. You're not slick. We'll just do the same thing. What is the point when we all want liberty and democracy? But y'all want to cheat? Okay, fight back. And that's what the Democrats should be doing.
Is that it creates a chilling effect for the Republicans, and they realize that we're going to meet them each and every step of the way, whether it's in Virginia, whether it's in New York, whether it's in Illinois, whether it's in other states throughout the country. We will meet them with fire with fire. And we're not playing around anymore on this. And
we're not going to give away our country to fucking losers.
Because Donald Trump is a weak man. And the fact
spineless,
is he knows he's going to lose.
Draft dodging, sexual assaulting felons. It's not going to happen.
In 2026,
it's not going to happen.
Rigging the maps and changing the rules midstream, and we're not going to allow them to do that.
I love that we got our swagger back. We got our swagger back. Ken Martin is he's not a bulldog, but
we do not have swagger as a Democratic Party. We have a few people starting to show some swagger. As a party, the Democratic Party is a fucking embarrassment. The Democratic Party lost democracy to incels. The Democratic Party lost American democracy to felon incel PDFs. We do not have swagger. There are a few people starting to show some swagger, like Gavin Newsom, ZOHRAN Mamdani, Bernie Sanders has had swagger, AOC has swagger, Jasmine Crockett has swagger. The Democratic Party does not.
He is on the attack. He's on the attack, and he should be, because what's happening on the Republican side isn't right. ICE agents in the streets, the military in the streets, no due process. They thought that they could just find more seats. They could decide who gets to control Congress without really asking the voters. I'm not a huge fan of the redistricting. I think most voters agree with me that gerrymandering fucking sucks. I hate gerrymandering.
But you don't let cheaters get away with cheating. But you also don't cry about it. You don't cry about it, you just dominate them. When you see a weak-ass bully bullying somebody else who doesn't deserve it, you dominate the bully until they stop. And you say, hey, you want to be friends now? Stop it. Stop gerrymandering, bitch. Stop cheating. Or I'm going to just have to dominate you and do the same thing. We have more people than you. This is not going to go the way you think it's going to go. You're never going to be able to stifle the will of the people. That's what the billionaires who own MAGA refuse to understand. You will not win against the 99%. You can divide them and deceive them and sort them into two different political parties all you want to. It's an inevitability. Democracy is coming for the 1%. You're not going to stop it. There's going to be justice and equality, liberty for all people. They're never going to stand being exploited, marginalized, and robbed by a tiny, less than 1% of the population. Kudos to you for getting away with it as long as you have. Your days are numbered.
California's redistricting, and this is something I didn't know until I talked to a friend earlier this morning, is, first off, what I like is they asked the voters, hey, is it okay that we do this? I think that's critical. It's critical that if you're going to change the rules again, you got buy-in from the people who you're going to be changing the rules for. Secondly, what I did not know about California's
So that's the difference between California and Texas. In Texas, they just did it. In California, they asked the voters, hey, Texas is up to some bullshit. Do y'all want to do the same thing so that they can't cheat? And the voters were like, hell yeah, we do. In Texas, they just did it.
Tricky, I wish they would talk about this more, but we're going to talk about it here, is that they have a term limit on it. It only lasts 2 election cycles. And then it goes back to the way it used to be. And that has been a main concern of mine with the redistricting, is it tends to be when you give folks power, they tend to not give it back. So I like that it's built in, that it's keeping them honest. Because I don't think gerrymandering is okay. I don't. I know most people agree with that. But I think it's a necessary evil at this moment. Now, they might be rethinking about this, because here's Amy Walter with, I thought was a really smart thought, which is that Texas GOPers are looking at the results last night and should not feel great about basing their hopes for flipping redrawn Texas congressional district on Trump's 2024 Latino performance. Why is that? It's because we overperformed with Latinos. Of course we did. I mean, Trump has been terrorizing their communities. They've been truly they've been going after people who look like they may not have citizenship, which is so offensive. And what they thought were very red districts, they might actually be turning purple. They might be redistricting themselves out of seats. That could be one thing that they're doing here. Now, I want to go on to show that Mike Johnson said this. They're just coping so hard about last night's loss.
I don't think the loss last night was any reflection about Republicans at all. I think people...
He doesn't even believe that. I don't think the losses last night was any reflection about Republicans at all. self-delusion, hitting the crack pipe. His expression, his demeanor has no qualms about lying his ass off because he is in a cult and he's demonstrating loyalty right now. He's being a cheerleader, he's getting high, telling lies. He knows it's a lie, you know it's a lie, every MAGA knows it's a lie, everybody knows he's lying, he doesn't care. Because he's in a cult or a gang that he's afraid to be a good person in front of. Why? Why are you afraid to be a good person who stands up for these principles? Mike Johnson, MAGA boys.
We're frustrated and angry as we are. I am. The president is.
It's not reflected of you. You don't win one thing. You didn't win one thing.
You got dominated,
and we express that different
motherfucker.
ways, but look, we look forward. We're looking forward to a great election, running on our record, and we're.
What record?
What record?
The big beautiful bill.
The big billionaire bill.
That is the largest transfer of wealth in American history.
The big
from working
billionaire
class folks to billionaires. You're defunding many programs that Americans rely on. You are choosing to not fund SNAP when you can. So what are you running on? Mike Johnson also said this about
self-delusion, baby.
Corruptions. They've assaulted ICE officers. They have spurred on political violence, and they closed down the government, which is the most basic duty and responsibility.
Y'all are
I think
protecting
the American
Epstein.
people are smart. I think they will understand this.
Y'all shut down the
And
government
I think
to
the midterm
protect
is gonna be a
Epstein.
great one for us. We had a demographic
To
shift in
protect Trump
2024.
from
We have
Epstein.
a very favorable election map on the Republican side, and it will be even more favorable once all the redistricting stuff is settled out.
As we said, I actually don't think the redistricting stuff, as he puts it, is going to help them. Now, a Democratic member of Congress actually trolled them the entire time.
I can't hear you because we have someone who doesn't respect the rights of their colleagues over here. I'd love to talk with you. Wait. I'd love to talk with you. Come to my office, okay?
You have an obligation.
My guess is this member of Congress, I don't know who it is. I don't think it says here. But my guess is that this member of Congress is yelling about the member of Congress who has still not been sworn in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about it. I've been doing that. We did that before the shutdown began. We went to the White House. We went and sat in front of the Resolute desk. We brought Leader Jeffries and Leader Schumer in, and we had a discussion. The president said, please don't shut the government down. It would cause all this pain to the American people.
Okay, all of that, not one mention of Epstein. This is all about he wants to protect his PDF buddy from the Epstein files. But he's just spouting off this self-delusion because his followers don't care. You gotta look yourself in the mirror if that's you. Why don't you care? Alright, I'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace.